Alright, this video is going to talk about Python and then PyCharm. So this is chapter 1.2 and talking through code, and there's no video for chapter 1.1. That section is mostly information, and so there's nothing actionable to show to make it more descriptive. So no video for that. We're going to start with setting up our computers to work with our code. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to Google Python download. So it's going to be this first link here. You want to make sure you're going to python.org. So I'm going to click that. And once I'm here, the thing to check is that you have the proper operating system, right? I'm on a Mac, so it ought to be Mac OS, which it is. So once you've guaranteed the operating system, you're going to click the big yellow button, and then that'll start the download process for you. So once all that happens, we need to check to make sure that it worked. So we're going to open our terminal. So I'm on a Mac, so it is called the terminal. If you're on a Windows machine, it'll be either the command prompt or the PowerShell. So I'm going to type in Python 3 -- version. And that tells me that I'm on version 3.11.2, which is what I want, right? It downloaded successfully. So now that I'm here, there are two ways that we can interact with our code. There is immediate mode, which is what we're about to show. And then there's script mode, which is what we do whenever we are going to be using PyCharm. So to open immediate mode, you do Python 3. And now what we have is an interactive prompt where we do one instruction at a time, and it gets done immediately. This is good. It helps us with figuring out how things work and playing with the code essentially. But it's bad because we're not saving anything that we're typing, right? So we could write an entire program in immediate mode, but then it wouldn't be saved for later, which is not what we want. When we're in immediate mode, there's a way for us to get more information about the program. So we can do help. And now that I'm in help, I can get information about a lot of things, right? These modules, keywords, symbols, and topics. So lots of things that I can get information about. And I would do that by typing in that there. And so it gave me a list of keywords that I can look into. So I'm going to look into elif. And it's just a bunch of information about how if, and then elif works. So there's lots of ways you can get information, right? You could look up something in W3 Schools. You could read the textbook that goes along with these videos. You could watch the videos as they go forward. But you can also look up things like this from the Python prompt. So keep that in mind. So once I'm here, right, how do I get back out? I'm going to hit Q. And once I'm back here, I can go back to the normal prompt by doing quit. And once I'm out of help, I can leave the whole terminal itself by doing quit with parentheses. And now I'm back to my regular terminal and it can do other things. Okay, so now that we're here, we're done with this for now, right? We could talk about how to run a Python script through the command line, but that's sort of out of scope for this. So now that we have guaranteed that Python is on our computer and we can use it, we're going to do PyCharm download, right? PyCharm is an IDE, an integrated development environment that we're going to use to write all of our code. So this is the splash page whenever I click on the PyCharm link, right? Make sure you're going to the JetBrains site for this. This is not what we want. We want to scroll down to the community edition, right? Make sure that it's this black community edition because the community edition is free and we don't want to be paying for our code, for our coding environment. So again, you got to make sure that you're on the right operating system, the right version for download. And then you just hit the download button and follow the wizard and it'll walk you through the whole thing. Once you have PyCharm downloaded, this is the logo. I have it pinned to my taskbar just because I use it fairly frequently. So I'm going to click on it. Now that we're here, I'm going to make this maximized. So we're gonna click on this new project button. If we had had previous projects, they would show up as recent projects for us, and we could just click on them to open them. But we don't, so we're gonna click new project. Up here, this location is where it's going to be. And so this is where it's gonna be in your directory, whereas the thing after the last / is the name of the project. So I'm going to name it Talking Through Code Chapter 1. And I always uncheck this, right? This create main.py, because I always like to name my files what they are. So I'm going to uncheck that. And everything else stays the same. So I'm going to do create. And now I have this split. So on the left here, this is where all my files are going to be. And then on the right, once we have it, is where our code is going to go. So I'm going to right-click on the name of the project. Then I'm going to do new, and then Python file. So I right-clicked on the name of the project. Then I did new, and then Python file. So I'm about to create a new Python file, right? And I want to name it something specific. So I'm going to name it Python Setup. And whenever you're naming your files like this, you do not have to include the extension, the .py, right? It already knows that it's going to be a Python file. So I'm going to make it. And I'm just going to go ahead and collapse bin because we don't care about it. Also to show that this Python file did not get made inside the bin. It got made directly inside the project. So once we're here, we can do our first program, which is print hello world, which is a pretty classic first program. Oh, maybe not. There it goes. Okay, so this is going to print hello world with that emoji, and it's going to show up in the console, which is down here at the bottom. So that's sort of the whole flow. Once you can get this print statement in place in PyCharm inside of a Python file, you know that your setup is good, and you can be ready to do your programming going forward. Okay, so that was it. We set up Python, we set up PyCharm, wrote a small first program. So the next video is going to talk about programs, errors, and debugging. So that's chapters 1.3 through 1.8.